What I was afraid was at that time, because we were in a conflict between the guerrillas and the army, so I had two choices: join the guerrilla or the army. And actually I was recruited by the army. I mean, forced, not voluntarily. And luckily enough, my father went to talk to the general and set free. And that was one of the main thing that I decided to come up here, because it was not easy to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to school, take a bus, go to school, and be at school at 8 o'clock. And without having not even a cup of coffee, seeing 3 or 4 bodies laying on the floor, decapitated, with their eye out, their tongue out, or amputated, and so on. So it was not appealing, I would say. And I was like, that could happen to me, or that could happen to my family.
Porque el papá del niño me quiso matar, ya eso fue difícil, ya tuve mi hijo. Ya después de mi hijo, todavía siguieron los problemas. Entonces, mi mamá, mi papá, ellos enfermos, la casa no era de nosotros, no había donde se podría introducir dinero para mejorar, nada. Entonces le dije a mi mamá, no, yo voy a seguir para Estados Unidos. Escuchaba mucha gente que se venía para acá, que ganaba bien. Yo le decía a mi mami que yo quería superarme. Quería ser alguien mejor en la vida y darles a ellos y hacer la propia casa y todo, a vivir mejor. Entonces, de ahí donde mi mamá me dijo, mi mamá como siempre, siempre ella apoyándome. Entonces me dijo, te voy a sacar un préstamo en el banco. Y ahí donde fue donde yo decidí y me vine. Dejé a mi hijo, tenía 2 añitos él.
Well, I knew I would never continue to live in Malaysia as much as I loved Malaysia. They give preferential treatment to the Muslims, the Malays, and they get preferential treatment in everything across the board, like education, housing, everything. So you would have a house that's for sale would be 200,000 ringgit. It would be 150,000 ringgit for a Malay, as opposed to a non-Malay, it would be $200,000, which to me is, on the face of it, is discrimination. So I never would want my child to grow up in a country where you have laws on the books where it is discrimination. No, I would never do that.
My dad is the youngest of 11, and of those 11, all of them got a college degree. That was my granddad's biggest accomplishment, that all of his kids got a college degree. School was huge. I became an exchange student with a university here in the US. Did a beautiful time, spent an incredible time, and then I went back home. And 4 days later, I told my dad, after I went back home, after I had a great experience, I told my dad, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And he said, well, you want to go back? I said, absolutely. I transferred to Frostburg State University here in Maryland. And I never lived in Mexico again. That was it.
I had followed up. I like listening to the news, world news. So BBC and VOA were my stations, and I listened to them every day. And those days also, the United States Embassy had facilities in the country. They had a cultural center which invited American artists to come exhibit their shows, musicians to come perform. And I had the opportunity to experience these things. And then besides, many of the textbooks I read in economics and planning were written by American professors. So, and of course the movies were there, and we saw these American movies, and I said, wow, what kind of world is that? And you listen to the music, and you say, oh no. So I realized I want to be part of that. The USA was the place to go and experience this very special lifestyle. So when I started thinking about PhD, there was nowhere else to go but here.
Here you are supported by laws and you are supported by people who can advocate for you. But in our countries, I mean, my country, I would say it wasn't that way, and you could get killed right over there. And even if you were my sister, I would not say that you were my sister, because I was afraid that they will come after me and do the same thing or even worse.
Lo que me gusta de acá es de que soy como libre. Puedo ir, aunque uno esté bajo de económico, siempre hay una forma como uno puede tener. Allá no, allá siempre tenía que estar con mis padres o pedirles a ellos. Aquí prácticamente soy como independiente. Eso es lo que más me gusta de acá.
I could get married in the US and have a career, and nobody would question that. That's one thing that I really valued. In Mexico, my cousin got married shortly after I did, and she thought that she was going to be able to keep her job. And the constant harassment of, well, you just got married, so as soon as you get pregnant, you're going to leave, so why would you want to continue to work? I was glad that I didn't have to deal with that. I was very lucky. People helped me put together a resume. The resumes in Mexico are not they're not the same that they look here. You have to put your picture in a resume in Mexico. You have to put your marital status. You have to put your age. Putting my resume with a stack of resumes, and they all look the same. And then getting that phone call that says, we picked you, not because of what you look like, not because of not because of who your father is or where you grew up, but for your merits. They pick you. So nerve-wracking, but I got a full-time job at Providence College of my own merit.
During the classes, what I found is Americans are always very quick to argue with the lecturers. They're very loud in the classes. You don't get that in England. And here it was so shocking to me that students are always very quick to point out their view, to argue with the lecturer, to say you're wrong. I don't think this case should have been decided on this basis, and that's very good, but I think some of it is more to hear your own voice.
But one aspect which bothered me along the way, and it was even more so when I started working in the tire places, I could sense a bit of, what would I call it, prejudice. My accent was funny. I didn't walk the American walk, So I could have this sense that people interpreted that to mean you are dumb. I could sense it. Here I was with a graduate degree from a very good college. And here am I working with folks who just come out of high school, and some maybe not. And here am I, them perceiving me to be, do I use the word inferior? Maybe. That bothered me. I didn't perceive it too badly. I knew it's a matter of them not knowing. And I believe that comes from part of my upbringing. My parents convinced me that you know who you are. Don't allow anyone to define you.
And what I was so sad that I worked for 6 months at that place, and the place went out of business, and they did not pay me like $2,000. So I lost all that, work for free, I would say. And they were institutions that they could help you out, but it wasn't as good as nowadays, that you can go almost anywhere and you can find lawyers or representatives to fight for your rights.
De la parte de la comunidad que soy es de Casa de Maryland. Sí. Me han ayudado en la forma de que me hicieron valer por mí misma, por la persona que soy, de ser escuchada, por no quedarme en el temor de estar abajo, de que no hablo. Les gustó a ellos mi tono de voz, cómo me expreso. Eso a ellos les ha gustado y ellos lo que he sentido que me han valorado.
One time my oldest one, she said, I don't know why people make fun of I don't know why people make fun of Mexicans and their stereotypes about Mexicans. So how come people don't make fun of people from Spain? You don't hear them talking about their dress or their outfits or their dances or their food. So she had that little awareness of what happens. I am glad that they're proud to be a little bit of everything.
Because you may be aware that a lot of foreigners come here and they create this kind of barrier between themselves and the American culture. They deal only with each other. So their perceptions are based on what their friends have told them, and for the most part it's wrong. I experienced it too. And my friend I lodged with and his friends, they would tell me things that were not particularly positive, especially about the African American community. And fortunately for me, I didn't assimilate that. And I guess it's also because I ventured into a college environment where I interacted with folks and got to know African Americans better. And the message I got is very different from what I was being told up front. I'm in Gordon Center. I was able to meet people from everywhere: Russia, Portugal, Spain, Peru, Mexico. I mean, it was a huge class, and there were different cultures in different countries, and it was great. And I guess whenever we had a party, everyone brought their typical food, and we share and we learn, and and it was a great integration. Not only talking and practicing their English, but also the gastronomic side of it. It was very enrichment, I would say. Really nice.
I've learned cultures, different cultures, and how to be sensitive to a certain culture, and how not to be too abrasive and say, oh, they're crazy, or something so abrasive like that. And I hope that is something that I can pass on to my son, because he's already mixed, so he's going to have both cultures. And we try to teach him that he's both. He's half Indian and he's half white, so he's got a lot of culture. In fact, it's an advantage to him.
What do I hope for them? I hope for them to continue to grow and experience the vastness of not just the United States but the world. This is a teacher used to say, that you don't live in the belly button of the universe. This is not the center. Go out there, explore it. There's more. So that's what I want for them. I want them to know that there's more, that they can love where they are, embrace where they are, but go out there and explore, make decisions about learning. That's all.
Tengo muchas metas, pero solo quisiera una de ellas, por lo menos. Una, que no me deportara. Y la otra, traer a mi hijo. El futuro mejor que yo quisiera es que ellos se prepararan, que estudiaran, esforzarme y darles todo lo mejor de que yo puedo darles, ya que para ellos he sido mamá y papá, para los dos. Ella acá pues tiene más beneficios que yo me la lleve para allá. Y pues mi hijo que se prepare aquí también. ese es el futuro que yo quiero para ellos. Que sean alguien en la vida.
Well, the only thing I can say to him is to study, to go to school, to get a good education, and to serve this country and the community. Because it's so rewarding to help other people.
So I mentioned to her, we have to build a house at home. That's because my way of establishing that connection between her and home. She has a home there. So if we should visit one day, we're going into a house. May last year, it's had been finished. We moved into our house. She was happy. I was contented that, now she knows that she's an American, but she's Ghanaian as well. And I'm Ghanaian and I'm American as well.